one thing about your career is, I think, looking back at it, I mean, you played for so long, and you threw so hard. Like you were so talented, and you just had, this great arm, and you were this high 90s guy who threw really, really hard, but you're learning how to pitch in the big leagues. And then they're like, hey, you know what we should do? We should go get this other guy who strikes everybody out, but walks everybody too, named Nolan Ryan. So you got to play with him, what, the next year or the year after?
88, I think, was the first year. 86, 87, 88. Yeah. I think it was.
So he's coming over. Like he's basically the kind of like flamethrower in the league, right?
Yeah. In my mind, he's the man. Yeah.
And so, I mean, what's it like, was he an off-season acquisition?
Yes.
So you're probably at home, getting ready for the season, and bam, Texas Rangers sign Nolan Ryan.
How do you find that out, by the way? Because you didn't have Twitter back then.
No, you didn't have. I think it was maybe I don't even know if ESPN was around back then.
No MLB Network.
No,
maybe
ESPN,
where you just show up in spring training the next year and Nolan's in there, and you're like, wait, hold on a second.
I think I was living in Arlington, and probably it was during the off season, so we were going to the stadium to work out.
Okay.
And so probably somebody said that, hey, we just signed him. I was like, no way. And I was just freaking out, man. This is unbelievable. I mean, this is the guy. This is who, when we were playing on that 84 team, the Olympic team, we played in Houston, kind of the same deal before. And we actually got to watch the Astros play, and he pitched that game.
Oh, wow.
And we had seats in the outfield, and I'll never forget watching him, listening to him. I could hear him all the way up there grunting, when he would throw. And I was like, this guy, man, he's an animal. Yeah, I just couldn't. But I mean, it was amazing. And then what they did in spring training, they put our lockers right beside each other.
That's cool.
So he was there, and if I ever had any questions, they said, and Nolan was an open book, but he wasn't going to sit there and say, hey, you need to do this, that, or whatever. Yeah. It's one of those deals where I had to get comfortable enough to ask him.
What was the best thing you learned from him, and what was the coolest thing about being his teammate, and what was the coolest thing you watched him do?
Well, what I learned from him was just the work ethic. This guy was unbelievable. I mean, he played till he was 47, right? I think.
Yeah, 47.
I mean, 27 years in the game, one of the longest tenured careers out of
still
any team.
Still throwing pellets.
Yeah, I mean, he was just blowing cheese. I mean, he was still letting it rip. But just how he went about it. I mean, he would, after he'd have a start in the big leagues, he'd be on the bike after the game. I mean, and this is after. I'll lead this, and it'll answer the next questions, is that he'd be on the bike after the game, 9 innings, punch out, whatever, 14, ice on the shoulder. Ice on the shoulder, ice on the elbow, ice on the back, pedaling the bike 35, 40 minutes, just getting after it. Next day he'd be doing his weights and all that. I mean, you're watching him do that, and you're thinking, look at this guy right here, man. This guy nonstop, he keeps going. This is why, if I want to continue to play this game for a long time, this has got to be the program. This has got to be part of the routine. And I always liked working out, but I mean, when you see him doing it, it kind of just
different.
It makes you just go, this is the way. But the things that I saw, coolest things, I saw no-hitter 6, no-hitter 7, 5,000 punch out, and 300 win. In that time period. And every time that he did one of those things, he was on the bike. He was on the bike after doing that. Most guys just punched out 5,000. Let's go.
Celebrate. Yeah.
I mean, I just got my 300th win, but it was the same thing all the time with him. And, I was fortunate to play with him. He was unbelievable. One of the things I asked him, one day I said, no, what's the best pitch in baseball? He goes, the bow tie. And I go, the bow tie? He goes, yeah, the bow tie. He goes, right here. I go, no kidding. He goes, yeah. He goes, you never want to let these guys get real comfortable. And I said, who told you that? He goes, Satchel Paige.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude, you hear all these, he's almost like a myth, right? Like Nolan's like almost a myth, because you hear all these stories about how if a guy bunted on him, he'd like rub the ball and just stare at you, and you knew like next at bat, like you were just getting bow tied or you were getting hit. One of the two.
He wasn't bow tying you. I seen you.
I seen it firsthand. I mean, if it was a big swing, like Gary Sheffield, I played with Sheff with the Marlins.
Yep.
And Sheff had his thing, and he would take a hack. I mean, he would let it rip. And I'll never forget, he was 19, or I think he might have been 19 or 20 years old. He was in the big leagues, probably 19 with the Brewers. We're playing the Brewers, and he takes a hack, man. It was a fastball up, and next pitch, Nolan just undressed him. I mean, just I've seen guys take some big swings and but he would walk in literally his last pitch. He'd throw his last warm-up pitch. Catcher would throw it down. He'd get the ball back, and then he'd walk in like he was walking towards the plate, and he'd touch the ground like this just to kind of check the surface to make sure it wasn't slick or anything. And then he'd look in the dugout like, if any of you are gonna bunt on me, go ahead, try it and see what happens.
Dude, I've heard that, and I always I'm like, surely that can't be like exactly what he did, but like guys like yourself that I've heard from, they're like, no, that's exactly what he did.
It was different back then, Cody. I mean, it's just the game. You know, guys like today. He did a documentary thing, and I was in it. They asked me to come over to the stadium. This was back when COVID was going on, and one of the things that I said, but they didn't put it in it. They said, well, what do you think about how would Nolan do in today's game? I said, I just laughed and I said, he probably wouldn't be playing too much. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, he'd be suspended probably every time he went out. He'd be getting 7 games because this, with the bat flips and.
Were you there when Ventura charged the mound?
I got traded to Oakland, so I missed it. It was a year after. Yeah, that was.
Was he a different person when he wasn't pitching?
Oh yeah.
Did he have like this persona that he took on when he got on the mound? But like the 4 days in between, obviously we talked about his work ethic, but he was a cool, calm, collective guy, like good teammate. But when he stepped on the mound, he was a devil.
It was a different dude. Yeah, he was. He was into the ranching. He's got his cattle, his beef company, and all that type of stuff. I actually one day he asked me to go with him, me and the trainer and somebody else. He goes, hey, we're going to fly out to East Texas on a plane and check out these cattle. You want to go? We'll have lunch. I'm going, yeah, let's go, man. So we went out there and did that. But I mean, I've been to the national finals rodeo in Vegas with him, with my wife and his wife, and about 6, 7 other couples went. But yeah, I mean, just awesome guy. I mean, but when it came time but he grew up in that era though, I mean, yeah. Where that's the way it was.
We always talk about this. Cool. It's cool that like how the game hasn't really changed the essence of the game, like the distance of the bases, the objective of the game, but like it's moved in a different direction. But the coolest thing about baseball is how the generations are all connected. Like you talked about how firsthand experience he learned from Satchel Paige. And then, so therefore you're kind of connected to Satchel Paige because he taught you about the bow tie.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about baseball.
I think that, it is. I mean, and again, the thing is that every time that I see somebody that's been in the game, they know somebody that I didn't know they knew, but it's just the fraternity. It is a fraternity. I mean, it really is, whether it's high school, college, pros. I mean, the professional, once you get started, big leagues, at some point, there's somebody there, there's a touch there that you've had, and it's really cool. But with, that's one of the things that, I'm from the old school, but I understand the new school. But the game itself is still there, but I liked it sometimes better back then.
You talked about kind of when you came up to being a little bit raw. Would you say Nolan had a huge influence on your career in terms of like getting a routine and learning work ethic and knowing how to be a professional? Or was there a coach? Was there someone previous to Nolan coming in that kind of took you under their wing a little bit?
Yeah, I think for sure Nolan definitely had an influence. We ended up, in 1990, I had the best year of my career. I think I was 17-10, and he finished 1. I finished 2 in strikeouts. But I think things really started to come together for me as far as a pitcher, and as far as going out there and trying to figure some things out. And, pitching more with my fastball. I can remember, and him telling me after a game, again, going back to Toronto, I gave up some runs early, stayed in the game late, till like the 7th inning. And he said, hey, what you did after that with your fastball and the way you were challenging hitters, I mean, that's what you got to do. Forget about trying to trick everybody. And I remember having a conversation like that with him, and that kind of opened my eyes a little bit.